Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the Stage Racing Podcast. Today, we're breaking down this weekend's race from Phoenix, and then we're going to look ahead. I can't talk today, man. We're off to a rough start. Look ahead to next week's race at Las Vegas. So stay tuned. All right, Cody. I'm obviously off to a bad start. So how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good after this past weekend. So, race was excellent. I feel time changes is getting to me.
We just said before this, we're recorded on Monday. Time changed yesterday.
But you know what? I think all the listeners out there and viewers out there can be appreciative that we're actually getting it out on a Monday, or I guess be out tomorrow on Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, at least we're not waiting until Wednesday or Thursday, but everybody understands life gets in the way.
Yeah, I'm not staying up tonight to do this. This will get done tomorrow, so.
Absolutely.
So just real quick before we really jump into this, how did you do on fantasy yesterday? I hadn't even looked. How did fantasy go?
So, it was my best week so far.
Okay.
I think I finished fourth. I needed a big finish there. So
I wish I could say I was doing really well until Byron and Reddick had their issues, and it went down the drain. Also, Blaney had issues.
Yeah, I think everybody had Blaney kind of shut everybody in the foot.
So going into this race, I was in third, and I've dropped down to fourth, and 81 points out of the lead. So I'm okay.
Where's right in, loose out there?
Let's see.
Down near the bottom there.
15th.
So I went from 22nd to 15th.
Yeah,
so.
You're 650 points, leaders at 800 in our league that we're in right now. So
yeah, I think that was about the gap that I had too. So we'll keep chugging away.
Yeah. Well, before we really get into it, we'll keep my tradition going on. I only got a few more weeks of these, but we got the hero car still going on. And this week, we're going with Scott Wimmer. I showed it to you before we got on here. You said replace Ward Burton in the Caterpillar car. I'm even trying to talk like Ward Burton. See, you bring it up, and I can't even. Caterpillar. So, interesting story about this. I told you I'd wait till we got on here. Scott Wimmer drove the 22 was for Bill Davis Racing, which was actually out of High Point, North Carolina. Which, believe it or not, Bill Davis Racing actually bought my grandparents' old foam fabrication plant, or where they were across the street. One of the two. I think they started across the street and then moved into their old plant. So a little connection there. I thought it was neat. Honestly, I don't know where this car came from. There's a good chance that's where that connection could have been, where this one showed up. So, like I said, just got a few more. Mom went through some old things a few weeks ago. If this is the first episode you're watching, I've just been showing some different hero cars that we got. You don't see these as often. I think the only place they really put these out now is actually in the pits. So I need to try to work some connections for Martinsville weekend. See if I can just get in the pits one day, just to get some new hero cards. If nothing else, right? And we can spend a stage comparing hero cards.
That's right. I would love that.
Oh man, well let's dive in here. Stage 1. So we're just going to go over a couple of different things that have popped up over the weekend since the race. One of the first ones I think came out Sunday morning. Burt Myers back on the scene, man, after his run at Bowman Gray. It was Burt who ran at Bowman Gray, right? It wasn't his brother Jason. Yeah, it was Burt.
Correct. Yeah, it's Burt.
So Burt running the 50 car at Martinsville. I will say though, Bob Pocker's tweet didn't say spring or fall. I'm assuming spring. I'd be shocked if it was the fall. I don't think they're just going to let open guys run the second to last race.
Especially reporting out this soon.
Yeah. So it'd be pretty interesting to see him run there. He's obviously ran there before in modifieds. I've seen him race there before. He was really starting to turn it on a little bit in the Clash. I think we talked about that in our first episode before he got stint-housed. And so we'll see if he can stay away from the 47 here in 3 weeks, Cody. 3 weeks to race weekend in Martinsville. Man, I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Too.
I know we were texting about this weekend trying to figure out tickets and all that. But, man, it's going to be a fun field week. I'm hoping to do the triple header that weekend. So I don't know if you could do Friday, but...
I mean, who knows? At
That's
this
true.
point, you know,
That's true. That's true. We don't have to go into that, but yeah, we
yeah,
usually
you know,
take we usually do take the kids over there. Which I mean, I know your kids are a lot younger than mine, but I will say, man, it's really cool. NASCAR does. For those of you who don't know, for Truck Series and usually Xfinity Series 2, kids 12 and under are free, which is really cool. I think it's a good thing that NASCAR does that because it's a good way to get the next generation interested. And my kids love it. I mean, me being a Denny Hamlin fan, the first thing they ask me is, "What is Denny driving?" I'm like, "He's not racing tonight." But it is fun. They love. We took them, all three of them, to the first one last fall, actually in the fall, and it was really good. Kids had a blast. It was a drama-filled race. It's the last race before the championship, and so someone punted someone for the win and to get in, and it was funny. We had a very bad parenting moment, my wife and I, because we were cheering for a fight in front of our three children. You can take the redneck, or what is it? You can take the parent out of the redneck, but you can't take the redneck out of the parent when it's all said and done. So, yeah, true colors came on that one. Same thing when we went to a hockey game last weekend. We were cheering for a fight then too, and I'm like, I probably need to watch myself in front of my children. It's such a bad example.
Yeah, they'll learn one day.
Well, the next one I have here, if you didn't watch last week's episode, we talked about some new manufacturers coming in, and Cody is a prophet. I think I'm going to start calling you Prophet St. John here, as he said, if Dodge were to come in, just coming to the trucks, and wouldn't you know it, no more than we hit publish, we see an article floating around out there that Dodge is exploring coming into the Truck Series. You got anything to say about that, Your Highness?
Yeah, I can't give up my sources, so we're just gonna roll with this one and chalk it up as a win. And I mean, of course, there's still a lot of work that's got to be involved before they actually do finalize anything. But just good timing on my part, just a coincidence, totally. But like I said, also too, not a total surprise. Like I said last week on the pod, basically, they're all in on their Ram trucks in the public. So getting them just back in the Truck Series, I think, is a big first step for them.
I think it's cool. You think Dodge, anyways. Like, I don't know. We live in the South; it's easy for us to do it. But when I think Dodge, I'm like truck. Like I'm not thinking car. I'd probably have to sit here and think about like what actual cars that they make nowadays. The only thing that's coming to my head is a Viper, and that's not going to run in NASCAR.
They don't even make those any, and they don't even make those
they don't. Yeah. So, anyways, well, let's talk a little bit of action from this weekend before we turn the page on the stage here. Let's talk about that Xfinity race. I didn't get to watch much of it for whatever reason. I decided to play golf, which I'm okay with. But I decided to walk 18 holes, which at 35 is a little rough, and played with a mutual friend of ours, and both of us it's Tuesday. It's Monday, and we played on Saturday, and neither one of us can still walk correctly. I think we tabbed up, we walked like 8 miles or something like that. But it was fun. But yeah, missed the Xfinity race, but went back and watched some of it. But what a finish. Eric Almirola with the win. Let's just start with this, fair or foul?
I think it was fair. I don't think anything foul about it personally. Just my opinion.
I mean,
just good hard racing.
I know Bowman was upset about it. He said Almirola door slammed him. I mean, yeah, he did. But dude, you're right there at the line. It's not like he did it in the middle of the turn, or going into the turn. He didn't punt him, much like Alex Bowman did to Denny Hamlin at this track just a few years ago. So let's not forget that there, Alex. It's fair, man. As Denny said, as Joey would say, that's just short track racing. So, yep. Completely fair.
And it was to win the race.
Exactly.
Let's go back to Carson Hocevar a couple weeks ago. He's out there to win a race. I mean, Eric Almirola just running, I think, part-time Xfinity this year, as he has been for the last couple. He's out there to win a race. So he doesn't get as many opportunities to win a race.
I mean, Bowman doesn't either. He's just feeling. I know Hendrick is rotating their guys throughout.
But that man drives a full schedule in the Cup, so he has every weekend to go win a race. Eric's just part time in Xfinity, so kudos to him for going out there and doing what he had to do to win the race, in my opinion.
Yeah, I sit here and you watch Eric run like that, and he ran really good in the Xfinity Series races that he did last year. I always thought he
won the Martinsville race we went to.
And it just makes you. It's just one of those things. It's like, man, what could have been if he stayed with JGR when he was coming up? And I always thought he didn't get a good fair shake, honestly, in his career. But good driver, definitely talented. It just stinks that Father Times took over, but I'm glad to see him still behind the wheel for sure. Another storyline: Justin Allgaier dominates at Phoenix again, but still can't get the win. I mean, what's the dude got to do to catch a break?
I don't know. Him and Junior probably gonna sit down and figure something out because, I mean, I fully expect him to be in the conversation again for the championship come the end of the season, and I mean, they're gonna have to figure something out about that. I mean, they won last year, of course. He was champion, but he's still gonna have to figure something out when it comes to that. So just bad luck on his part.
And the good thing he's got going for him is the two guys that he lost won't be racing in that race in November. So, yeah, that'll help matters. I would definitely say that 17 kind of seems to be the cream of the crop in the Xfinity Series right now.
Can we just say that Junior Motorsports in its entirety in the Xfinity Series is just a darn good team. I mean, just all around. They've got some good young drivers, good talent. Other than Justin, I mean, Justin's kind of a, forever lifer in the Xfinity Series and finally has some good ride and good equipment. And, so, I mean, I think that's just kind of where he's. Junior talked about it on his podcast last week. Justin's kind of out there just doing his own thing because he kind of knows. And then Junior's kind of coaching up these younger kids.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking, you talk about the Xfinity Series. The two teams that I think have the most success in the Xfinity Series is probably RCR and Junior Motorsports. So could you imagine if you were in a coma in like the early 2000s and just woke up today and you're like, who's really good? And you're like, well, the Xfinity Series, you got Junior Motorsports and RCR is pretty good. And their first question would be like, oh, did Junior buy DEI? And you're like, nah, let me explain to you what happened.
My first question would be, what's the Xfinity Series?
Yeah, that too. Oh, it's the Busch Series. It's the Busch Series. Well, hey, look at this. We've got sponsorship opportunity. Busch is one of the big sponsors of NASCAR. Come on, bring it back.
That's right, bring it back. We already got Craftsman back.
Yep, let's bring it back. The other bullet point I have here to finish this one out, we've said it before, we'll say it 1,000 times. This is hands down the best package in NASCAR, and I'm almost willing to say now this is the best package in all of motorsports. Top down. I'll go out and say it. I really don't care. This Xfinity Series is the best that there is. Pure car package.
Yeah. We've been saying it for 3 years now, so it's still standing the test of time. It's standing over the changes the Cup Series has made. Anything the trucks have done, it's literally just bang bang racing every single week. I mean, every so often you kind of get a snoozer. One car goes out there and dominates, but you had those back in the day, and all forms of racing, you're gonna have that. So. Short tracks are good. Super speedways are good. Intermediates are good.
Road courses are good.
Road courses are good. Everything that package setup touches is pure cinema.
Could you imagine if we've said it before? Add some horsepower to these Xfinity cars and put the Cup guys in it. One can dream. One can dream.
That's a pipe dream, buddy.
Well, let's wrap up. Go ahead.
We got good things to look forward to.
Yeah.
And talk about.
Yeah. And we got a good Martinsville race coming up here in a few weeks with the Xfinity Series. All right, well, let's wrap up stage one. Let's move it on to stage two and talk about the Cup race Sunday. First things first, you get to enjoy the race Sunday, man. I know we were texting a little bit about it, but did you get to kick back and enjoy it any?
I did. For basically the first time all NASCAR season. I sat at the house with the kids and sat on the couch and I watched that entire race.
Sweet.
It was good times.
Yeah, we got home went out to eat after church, and then did the good old Southern white person famous: go to church, eat some Mexican food, and then come home and pop it on the couch and watch NASCAR. And then my mother-in-law and my wife's aunt came over for dinner, smoked some chicken legs. It was a good night, man. Yeah, they were so good.
Good stuff.
But yeah, let's start with this. We talked about her last week, Catherine Legg. Ouch. I mean. Yeah, that didn't look good.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for her a little bit, to be honest. I don't feel like she was given a good hand, and it definitely did not help the, what's the word I'm looking for? The, not prejudice, I'm talking about women drivers, but what's that? I'm drawing a blank. It's late. The stereotype. There it is. English is hard, by the way, in case you didn't know that. It definitely didn't help the stereotype none, but, I mean, she had one less than an hour long practice session and one qualifying lap, and then they expected her to go out there and compete. Come on, NASCAR.
It was all about International Women's Day. I mean, I think NASCAR kind of had like a little hidden agenda there, and
Yeah,
it's
and
unfortunate for her.
it's unfortunate. She was not given an equal opportunity. Completely
No.
pun intended by saying that, but she wasn't like.
No,
Yep.
That was a fail by NASCAR.
It was 100% a fail.
I'm just gonna keep the pod PG, but I was gonna repeat the tweet that I sent out from the radio, the radio communication she had.
Yeah.
That I sent out about her being, tied out the corner. So
Yeah.
she spun around. So
anyways,
pod PG. Yeah.
So that begs the question to me, and we haven't seen it before. I mean, in all fairness, the other year in the Daytona 500, Travis Pastrana was running for it. He couldn't even practice. That's when they weren't even doing practice. The first time he drove a lap at Daytona in a Cup Series car was in qualifying when he was trying to qualify the Open Car 2311. He ended up doing okay. He got caught up in a wreck in that race. But it begs the question, should they make someone at least drive some Xfinity first before getting in a Cup car?
I would say, yeah. I mean, it's the closest thing you're going to get to it. I think by doing that, you lessen the potential possibility of someone actually getting hurt, and we've talked about that in a couple other episodes. So I think there's a bigger picture to this other than just someone not running a lap and then spinning out or whatever. Somebody could get hurt.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately she collected Suarez in it, but that's just kind of part of the course for how his season's gone. But, I mean, I don't know, man, and it seems NASCAR's really pushing with all the rules they've made with the open cars and that sort of thing to get more drivers who've never been in a Cup car before in it, and I know it's to try to boost ratings, but, dude, ratings are really good this year so far. And I think stuff like this just makes it not seem that serious and kind of takes away that, oh, well, you don't have to be that good to do it. And not that she's not. She's a solid driver. I'm not trying to pick on her by any means, but it just kind of takes the legitimacy away a little bit, I think. And there need to be some rules there, even if it's testing. The only thing I think that they draw the line on that NASCAR would probably be worried about is teams taking advantage of it just to get some information for their regular guys. Because someone would do it, 100%. But yeah, not a good look. Kind of hate it for her. Maybe we'll see her again. I don't know. If I was her, I'm definitely trying to redeem myself. But she's with a team that doesn't have a whole lot of money, and they just destroyed a race car, and it's going to take them a long time to fix it. So
yeah.
Well, the biggest thing I think from this weekend is what we've learned, and that's tires. We can finally talk about it. I'm actually excited to talk about tires for once. Usually I'm so frustrated I can't see straight, but we saw something this weekend. They had option tires this weekend, 2 different sets. They had a primary and an option, very similar to what we saw at Richmond, North Wilkesboro last year. They floated around in Phoenix this year. I think this was a way to set the tire for the fall. Is that they even had a test today, and I haven't gone back to see what came of it, where they started with the red tires today in the test and went even softer throughout the test. So I'll say this, if they want to make it softer, I'm A-okay with that. But man, if nothing else, at the bare minimum, these tires and only these tires in November.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll echo the same sentiment. I don't think you need an option tire. I don't think you need anything else other than this. Me and you've been saying this for 2 years now. So of course, me and you were jumping from the rooftops when we saw what we saw yesterday. And, that was the big question was it going to work at Phoenix versus like where, it kind of worked in Martinsville last year. And kind of, saw it at Richmond and stuff like that in Wilkesboro. So, we really just need to stick with this tire and continue to move forward. And that way, too, Goodyear's able to continue to gather data on this tire and continue to make that better.
Exactly. Because here's the thing. NASCAR's not going to give us horsepower. They're not going to take the shifting away, it doesn't seem. So you got to do something to make the drivers actually have to drive, and protecting tires is it. We talked about this before. I think spring race at Bristol last year when, as Denny would say, someone peed in the tire formula at Goodyear because it was completely different than we've ever seen in these next-gen cars. Who were the best drivers of that race? Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. You want to know why? Because those drivers have been around long enough when you actually had to drive and protect your tires, where a lot of these guys didn't. A lot of these guys do it now. It wasn't as key recently, even prior to the next gen. It wasn't as big as it used to be when Denny, Brad, and Martin were driving before. So, yeah, it's this is it, man. I mean, I think I heard Denny say on his pod that it was after about 45, 50 laps, there was a 1 to 2 second fall off. That's what we need. That's what we
He
need.
talked about it too. He's like, you make it a little softer, or you run a little longer, you probably get to that 3 second fall off.
And then it's going to come down to this. You have disparity because it's who can actually manage tires and who can't. And that really, at the end of the day, I think that's what makes short track racing so good, because these cars are all the same. So horsepower is not going to make that big of a difference. So give it something to take it away, because if you get a long run at Martinsville like we've gotten recently, where you're talking 100, 200 laps, and it's just down to who can save their tires, guys are going to have a hard time handling their cars in the turns, where now they just downshift and they're good. So it's a step in the right direction for sure.
Absolutely.
Kudos to Goodyear. Keep pushing it. I don't even care if they start blowing out after 20 laps. I honestly, at this point, just keep it going. Who cares? Well, I guess my next question is, even though they did have the options, I've seen a little debate on Twitter in the last 24 hours. Do you like having tire options in NASCAR? Are you for it?
I'm a little bit of a traditionalist, so if anybody hasn't been able to tell by now. So no, I'm not a huge fan of the option tires. I mean, I understand the strategy behind it and all that stuff, but I'm like, let's just stick with one tire, and everybody's got to manage it the same way, and we'll see who's the best of the best.
Yeah, I mean, it made it interesting in what Phoenix has kind of become a boring race recently, right? So it did make it a little bit interesting to watch the strategy, and you saw some teams take advantage of it. Joey Logano being the biggest one after his penalty, using the Sellers Reds to get his track position back. But yeah, I'm with you. It's just weird. I'm a traditionalist too. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not one for change, but yeah, too much like F1, personally. All right, this next one, I know you want to talk about it a little bit. So how about Josh Berry? You said at the beginning of the year that you're really interested to watch Josh Berry. Maybe that 21 team's actually pretty good. They just needed a driver.
Yeah, I think they've really, I mean, especially since they moved to Charlotte, hate that they're not, majority out of Stewart anymore. Yeah, I think they've really, I think bringing in Josh made them really sort of reinvigorate themselves and be like, you know what, like we got the best driver they've probably had
Since Matty D. Well, I guess you could say Blaney, really, if you're thinking.
Yeah, and that's kind of and that was Penske, doing that. So I mean, so I think them really getting him and saying like, okay, we really gotta make some hay, and we want to keep this driver, because they know that somebody else would, if he runs well, they're going to come after him, so they're going to want to continue to put out a good product and good equipment for him. So yeah, I mean, I was excited from him from day one. We talked about him personally a lot last year, me and you did. He's been fairly solid every race. He's gotten some bad luck, but yeah, he's been pretty consistent. He was consistent last year in the Ford.
Mm-hmm. He had bad luck then too.
He did. So I'm just really excited for him and the Wood brothers to finish fourth. That was their highest finish ever at Phoenix, finishing fourth. So shout out to them. I know they're super happy about that. So I hope they keep up the good momentum.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what their intermediate speed is this coming weekend. Do they have it there? I mean, Barry's known for short track driving, right? That's his roots. Mm-hmm. That's what he's known for. So it's like, all right, can they carry this over to Las Vegas? Which, I mean, look, essentially, if you live in a hole and don't really know, the 21 team is just an extra car for Penske at the end of the day. But yeah, it's good to see Josh Berry get it. And the 21 team definitely has something going on. Yeah, I'm not trying to knock Harrison Burton too much, but I mean, Berry got in this thing and he's looking night and day better so far. So
looking much more competent than Burton.
Yep. Well, this one had a great finish too. I mean, we complained about Phoenix. We complained a little bit on the pod. You and I have talked a lot about it in general, but you can't fault them for this weekend. Another great finish to the Cup race there. I mean, obviously, a few of these cautions that didn't happen late, maybe you don't get it. I don't know. I still think you would have had a good finish. I think Denny was saving something for Christopher Bell there at the end. But, man, good racing at the end. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Xfinity race, you look at the Cup race. I mean, it was almost identical in my opinion. Almost. It was just fantastic racing at the end. A way for everybody to hang on to it at the end too. So many times we see these Cup guys at the ends of races, 3, 4 wide and just battling, and all of a sudden wrecks happen, and not just super speedways anymore. So kudos to everybody hanging on. Good restart. Denny battling and kind of almost getting that win.
Getting a nice little bump from his buddy Kyle Larson there. When that whole rivalry started the other year, it was just really weird. The media took it, run with it, but I'm like, dude, Kyle and Denny are like really good friends. I don't understand. Like, they're staying in the same house right now, and they're on the West Coast swing. They do that about like every other year, but it was a good, clean race in the Cup, like you were saying, and I think that's because you had 3 really good drivers battling out for the win, and 3 very respectable drivers. Say what you want about Denny, he's a very respectable driver, and then Denny and CBell being teammates definitely helped from any carnage happen. But yeah, man, that's good racing right there. Fantastic
It
race.
was a great finish. One of the closest finish in Phoenix history.
Yeah. Well, this one was easy to update on our show notes. I just took it from CBell back to back, and then just put CBell back to back to back for Christopher Bell. Dude, can you remember a start to the season like this? And I sent you the tweet. I bookmarked it. I want to make sure I bring it up. We were one really bad Cole Custer push away from potentially Christopher Bell sweeping the season so far.
Yeah, the dude's on fire. I mean, we talked about it last week. We talked about how much he improved, and then we go to a short track and he wins again, and he's up front all day. You can kind of go and look at the other two and say, was it luck or whatever you want to say. This one he
dominated.
He did from start to finish. He ran strong. He had probably the best car all day. Bar none. So just this kid, the 20 team. I said it to you. I said it to the group on Sunday. This is the best that 20 teams look since old Smoke was driving.
They're motivated. And here's the deal. I mean, they made the Final Four 2 years ago. He had a really good car at Phoenix that day. Ends up just like in the first stage, complete bad luck. His brake rotor explodes going into one of the turns. And I can remember watching it on Netflix, just like, dude, I was heartbroken. Like, the cameras are rolling in his trailer after he comes back, and he's not saying anything. It's just him and his wife. I don't know if they were married at the time, but they're just sitting there. And like, no one's saying anything. And I'm like, this dude, he's on a mission next year. His villain story just began. And then last year, he's about to make the Final Four. And then we have the controversy at Martinsville, where NASCAR pretty much pulls the 20 out, gives it to Byron. I feel like the Martinsville fall race of 2024 put this man on a mission. Something changed that day, and watch out.
Yeah, I just hope he can keep it up. And I mean, I'd love to see the kid in the Final Four. I don't want to see what we've seen in the past with the guy go out and win a bunch of races and not make it to that Final Four. So, I mean, right now, I hope he does.
And that's what sucks. I think that's what sucks the worst is this dude's dominating. I mean, he's not going to race at this level all year, but he's good enough that he can reel out a win at any point in time. But it's like, all right, I've seen enough to say he deserves to be in the Final Four, unless they just completely fall off a cliff somewhere over the next few months. But nothing's guaranteed. I mean, if this was the Winston Cup points format, he's probably looking at a top 3 finish already to the season, just based on averages and what he normally does. So, but tis the format we have now. Anything else from the race from you, man? Anything else you want to say maybe we didn't cover?
No, I think we pretty much touched on it all.
All right. Well, let's move it on to the final stage. Let's preview Las Vegas. Well, we 5 races into the season, and we finally get a mile and a half. That's a little insane.
We've talked about this schedule, and do better, NASCAR.
Yeah, this one's weird, but we've had really good races so far this year, and now we're getting a track where, with these next-gen cars, as much as you and I diss on them all the time, you can't much say anything about them on a mile and a half, so we should have another good race this weekend.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I mean, this is the next gen's bread and butter. This is what they made this car for. So I mean, if it's anything like like pretty much almost every race we've had this season, I mean, I'm super excited for it. I'm expecting some bang bang racing and hopefully another close finish. I mean, I could get used to these.
Yeah, it's definitely driving the entertainment value up, which is what NASCAR seems to want to have. I'm talking about what to expect this weekend and things I'm looking forward to. I think the biggest one for me is these restarts. The restarts on the mile and a half are what's so good with these cars, I think. So if there's a late race caution, maybe it doesn't come down to the start-finish line as a close finish, but that last restart, if there's a caution with 10 or less laps to go, really be paying attention to that last restart because that's when it's going to get crazy.
Yep.
The next thing I had is, can Toyotas keep the momentum? I'm trying to pull up. I feel like some of my notes got cut off here, but Toyotas looked really strong this year. Usually you think Toyotas, you're thinking short tracks, that sort of thing, but obviously Christopher Bell's just making them look like unstoppable, but they've looked really strong in every single race this year. So, do you think something's changed here?
I think they just want to be more aggressive from the jump. I mean, it was kind of funny that, when we were at Daytona and, everybody's like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with Toyota? They're not qualifying. They don't have no speed.
Briscoe gets the pole.
Briscoe gets the pole, or maybe it was the Atlanta race. They didn't have no speed.
Yeah, it was Atlanta. Yeah, they didn't have any speed in Atlanta. Yep.
So Briscoe got the pole in Daytona, so my apologies. But
yeah, Atlanta, you had them starting in the 30s. Most of them were in the 30s, and then here they are at the end of the race.
But I mean, Toyota always they'll throw money at that stuff to make sure that they're where they need to be. I don't know if they did or didn't this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did, because like you said, Christopher Bale's kind of carrying that flag, but I mean their average finishes have been really good this season.
Yep.
Bubba's up there all the time, Reddick's up there all the time. Bale, Hamlin's had a rough 3 weeks, but then really bounced back yesterday, and of course he even talked about it that those weren't his best tracks. So maybe he could have won the 500. So I definitely think Toyota's no slouch, and I definitely think that they're here to win a championship this year.
Last year they had the new nose on the car last season. So I think they've got a lot of data to work with that they refined this offseason. And then again, they were the only manufacturer to not make the Final Four last year. So they were feeling some type of way.
Shoulder.
Yeah, so I imagine that kind of motivated them. But yeah, I can remember we were texting in our group chat Sunday, and it was like, who are you taking? And you responded, a Ford, is pretty much what you said. And then they had some bad luck along the way, but Josh Berry was the highest Ford. I don't think any of us would have said that going into it. But, Toyotas go out there. Chevy kind of ran usually where Chevy is, but historically, Toyotas have not been all that great. At Phoenix, they've been good, just solid, but not like we saw this weekend. So I'm watching that going forward as we get to these intermediate tracks now. It's like, can they carry that momentum throughout the season? It'll be interesting to watch. All right, going to Vegas. Who do you like this weekend?
So I'm going to throw out a oldie but goodie here. Kyle Busch.
Yeah, hometown track.
Yep.
And they're definitely 10 times better than they were last year. They fixed something.
Yeah. And he ran good at Phoenix early on. I don't think he finished all that well, or about middle of the pack, and then ran good at Coda, of course, and was up there in the 500 and ran good in Atlanta, if I remember right. So yeah, I'm gonna go with him. I think I'm probably gonna put him in my fantasy lineup this week, depending on how he qualifies. But yeah, he's probably my favorite to win the race.
I'll go with Young Money, Kyle Larson. He the spring race at Vegas, he seems to usually just kind of own it. If it was the fall, I would say probably Logano. He always seems to, especially if he's got a chance to get to the Final Four, he always seems to win at Vegas and just is done with it. But it'll be interesting. Yeah, Vegas is an interesting one. Last year, I'm pretty sure Larson won it in the spring last year, or did Byron win it? I can't remember.
It was either him or Byron.
Yeah, so Hendrick usually runs really well here, so I'll be interested to see what Hendrick does. One I want to watch is Alex Bowman. I felt like he had a good car at Phoenix this past weekend. He just ran into some bad luck, got caught up in one of those spins. He still rebounded and actually ended up having a really good day, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this is a big year for him, so this is his chance to go out and prove something. So yeah, it'll be interesting. I think if I'm picking a favorite, it's probably Kyle Larson, who I put in my 5. Yeah, I don't really know, man. I want to see it. I have some ideas who it is, but I need to see some practice times. I need to see some qualifying, because track position is huge at this track, so it'll be interesting. But I'm looking forward to it. I like Vegas. I do enjoy races here. It's a good solid track. So, all right, man, that's all I had here. We're gonna do Vegas, and then where are we headed after Vegas? Are we headed to? Let me pull the schedule up here. I know it's one in between before we go to. Oh no, it's not. It is Vegas, and then it's Homestead, and then it's Martinsville, and then it's Darlington and Bristol. Dude, we've got 5 solid races coming up. Oh my gosh, this is great. This is great. And then after that, it's Talladega. So really, you could say six good races, because the Talladega Spring Race usually delivers. And then they go to Texas, so we could just go on and give that one a thumbs down ahead of time. But we've got some seriously good races here. A chance for NASCAR to carry that momentum that I think they have this year.
Put that soft tire at Texas.
Do anything at Texas. Good Lord. You know what? Honestly, let them run the short track that the Legends cars run at Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, anything is better than what they do there right now. Again, as I said last week, put 7 to 8 pieces of dynamite in that thing and pull the trigger. And let's just move on.
That's right. I did have a buddy, we'll throw this out there. I had a buddy make a suggestion for the pod for Martinsville. I had not that it would work, but he was like, "You guys should go live from Martinsville for the pod." And I was like, I don't know, we'll have to figure all that out, because that would be pre-race. And I said, we'd have to set that up after the race and all that stuff.
Yeah, they would kick us out.
They probably would. So
I'll tell you what, how about we try to at least do this? Whichever races we go to, let's try to shoot a little pre-race prediction before we go. We could probably shoot some Instagram clips or Facebook Reels, whatever it might be. I think we can do that. Don't think we can go live.
Yeah, no.
It'd be fun. I wish we could. If they would give us the old boot.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt.
But Cody, as always, man, it was a pleasure. We got this thing done on a Monday this week. I'm proud of us. Look, I know your job's been crazy, but there was one night 2 weeks ago I was like, I'm not doing anything. It was a crazy Monday, so we toughed it out this week and got it done and carried it on. So on behalf of Cody and myself, appreciate everybody watching here. Go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe. And whichever way you check us out, we're on everything now, by the way. We are on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Spotify, we are on iHeartRadio. So if you can't find us, you're not looking hard enough, is pretty much what it comes down to. So as always, we appreciate the support, and we'll catch you next week.